Hello, Professor Simon. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your thoughts on the future of higher education. Before we dive in, could you introduce yourself, share a bit more about your background and experience?
Sure. I'm Andy Simon. Excuse me. I am in the Department of Psychology, and I also teach in the Division of Continuing Education and Professional Services. Most of my teaching is around organizational dynamics. So my formal training is in organizational and social psychology, and I focus on things like leadership, group dynamics, organizational performance, this kind of domain, and across a range of topics.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
As you know, we've been researching the future of higher education using specifically strategic foresight. And with that, we'd love to hear your view of some of the changes that we've found on the horizon. In your Future Not Invented Yet report, you describe AI as a learning partner for higher education. And AI tools are definitely going to enhance the overall learning environment, especially in the way that they provide individualized support for both faculty and students. But with that, how might the media naturalness theory that you've discussed in earlier works help us evaluate AI's impact on student satisfaction and engagement in every learning environment?
Great. So that report came as a subcommittee of Seton Hall's strategic planning process. So there was this idea of thinking about what we're not thinking about, like what's coming next, right? So media naturalness theory focuses on the match between the person using the technology, and the task. So when should we be using what? Right. So we've all experienced times where we're like, it actually feels like it's harder texting each other to set up a meeting when we can just get on the phone and do it in 5 seconds,
Absolutely.
right? Okay. So that's what that theory is looking at. So the committee was kind of looking at, well, certainly AI is here, and it's going to become more prominent. And so what's the best way for us to get in front of it and have it match what we're trying to do in education and productivity, rather than have it get dictated to us, or just because the technology is sitting there, we start using it even though we haven't stopped to go, is this really helping students? Right. So that's really what the match is. And there's a lot of speculation about what's the best way to do it. And including some people are feeling very strongly there's going to be situations where we actually have to disconnect at times to cover certain material, make sure critical thinking skills are released, and then bring in the AI so we're optimally using it rather than just relying on it.
With the media naturalness theory, there's an idea of low naturalness technologies, which would be instant messaging, I assume. With that, do you think that AI-enhanced tools will eventually become in that genre of naturalness technology? Or do you think that they will continue to enhance deeper engagement in student learning?
So, we'll see what the technology brings us. So, for instance, I see younger people today doing things like they're texting, but they're using audio to create the text. So if you walk by, it looks like they're speaking on the phone in real time, but they're not. They're just voice recording messages to each other. So in a way, that's more natural. You're not stopping to type. AI is very likely going to make everything more natural for us. It's just going to kind of sink in with what we're already doing. So in that sense, it's very likely we're going to have it be more present in ways that are easier to use. Having said that, what we want to do is use it to increase engagement. Right. So that's actually what we want. We know that you can sit in a classroom, whether it's with AI or just your laptop, and be completely disengaged. Yeah. Right? Just because the technology's sitting there, you could actually be somewhere else. Right? Exactly. So the question is, how do we structure it so that it's serving the purpose that we want?
With that, do you see a potential disconnect between, task performance, student satisfaction, and overall student confidence when using AI tools?
Well, there's certainly this concern about, are we going to lose skills and abilities that you cultivate through effort, but you don't have to put that effort in anymore, right? So if AI can write a short answer or a short essay, well, I don't even have to think about it. Well, what's the benefit of my having to think about it and having to work out a clear expression of an idea in writing when I don't have to do that anymore.
Right.
So we don't totally know the answer to that yet, but it's certainly a lot of people are keeping an eye on this kind of thing.
It sounds like you said this already, but it's the human connection with the AI that we're kind of striving for and enhancing that, creativity in the students type of thing.
That's what we want, right?
Yeah.
So there's research out now, the psychologist Jonathan Haidt's book on the anxious generation. He's talking about how a lot of the elements of social interaction that are needed for kids and teens for healthy development, it's not happening because you can just sit in your room and get a sense that you're socializing and be on your phone and not actually interact with people. We don't want to create learning environments where you can get the answer, but you don't learn anything. I mean, that's obviously problematic. Now, having said that, there's certainly ways AI is going to assist what we're doing.
Yes.
We're trying to figure out how to have it match so that it facilitates further engagement rather than having people just feel like press the button, it will do it for you.
Right. So building off of that human connection aspect, a lot of this is how the human interacts with technology. And what role should psychological research, especially from your domain, play in, shaping how higher education eventually integrates AI tools into their environments?
Right, really good. So I'm working with people on this whole idea, and where we're going with it is a lot of the skills and abilities that have always been said to be highly valued are probably going to be even higher, falling in the domain of what we'd call emotional intelligence. So being able to communicate clearly, being able to listen to people, work well on a team, manage your own emotions and be empathic to other people in a way that's not only like kind, but also productive, that's probably going to show up as more important as a lot of tasks get done by AI.
Right.
So what is it that people can do for each other that raise the performance and also increase the connection level? It will very likely be these things. So in psychological research, there may be more of looking at what do people really contribute, for instance, on a work team that you can't just get with AI. I have a feeling that's where some of that direction is going to go.
Yes. Building off of that, my next question was actually exactly about team dynamics and how do you see AI influencing those dynamics from your experience in, organizational psychology and in the teams that you've developed and stuff like that?
So I think of more of what I just said to you, that it's like, I think it's going to be tasks will be done by AI. What is it that people want from other people that you can't just ask AI to do?
Yes.
We would, if somebody who's looking to really make themselves valuable in the workplace, in my mind, that's a way that you're doing it. Traditionally it's been gaining more knowledge, gaining more credentials, and gaining like this task expertise. Well, if the machine's going to be doing that for you, what is it that you're going to bring that is going to be valued by teammates, by leadership? That's what I'm wondering is going to go on. The other question is like, when do you bring in AI and how do you use it optimally, right?
Exactly.
So we're seeing some of this happening. The research is moving at the pace of research, which oftentimes is slower than we want, but we're seeing it in companies, especially the tech companies. They're just taking action. They're just doing things like saying, can AI do this so we don't need to hire somebody else? So they're doing things like that already. So we're actually going to get a chance to watch it.
It's fascinating to see all those dynamics changing, especially, being a student in the classroom. I can see it changing within my own team projects and things like that. So it's going to be interesting to see the continual progression of this integration. With that, all of these changes are definitely important, and it's important to prepare our students for these changes that are coming. And with all of these new AI platforms and new tools, they're going to need a new skill set to be able to contribute to this both academic and work environment. So what would you say are some of the top skills that are most important for these students?
So one of them is you should know how to work with AI. So prompt engineering, or just the idea of what can AI do and how do I get the most out of it. Anybody who's spent time with any of the popular AI programs that are out there right now knows you can get nonsense answers, okay? And it's a matter of like, what's useful information? How do I get that information, right? Even prompt engineering will probably be less important because AI will just kind of keep those prompts over time,
Yes.
right? Excuse me. So it's working with AI and then being a bridge to working with people. So when you need to answer a question, solve something, create a new idea, when you're working with somebody, understanding what they really need, understanding what will really serve them, then being able to work with AI to be as informed as possible, then going back and being able to deliver this information.
Right.
Clear presentation, clear communication, things that truly serve people in what you're trying to do. And so to me, that's a featured element, is being able to work with AI and being a bridge to people.
Yes.
And then the other one was what we were just saying, was being really effective on a team and being a valuable contributor. In many ways, I see this is going to show up in the classrooms. The old story with technology is whenever it shows up, we're not ready for it.
Right.
Like that. Technology is like, we're not ready for, it enters the structure and it's like, okay, it's great that everybody has years ago a laptop, let's say. Next thing you know, everyone's on the internet. Well, is that really helping the classroom, right? So I think classrooms are going to have to start to think of technology as part of the learning structure.
Yes.
When should you turn it off?
Right.
Today we're going to have it off. Or we're going to do some exercise where don't turn it on until you finish this feature, the exercise, so that students learn the distinction between what they should be doing on their own and together, then when you go and use AI, as opposed to you just turn to AI and work that way.
That's a very interesting idea, because that perspective of it seems like, that the overall classroom environment wouldn't really be changing then, because that's kind of how we work now with our technology, and it makes the integration of AI seem more feasible. Would you agree with that?
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Sometimes I think, to use like a comparison, it's like we used to do physical labor all the time.
Yeah.
Well, we don't as much now, so we have to go to the gym, right?
Right.
We haven't evolved out of not needing exercise, right? And so there are elements not only to our personal well-being, but also us working together. Some people might find it satisfying to have an interaction with an AI, but a lot of people still feel like, I want to know that there's somebody else there that I'm interacting with. When this kind of thing, so it's a bit extreme, but it's like on teams and working with people, there's a sense of, am I really collaborating, connecting?
Yes.
Are we generating? Okay, generating ideas. And so bringing that in as raising our awareness, bringing it into the classroom so students are more aware of what am I doing right now, then when they're not in the classroom, they can more consciously flow in and out of connecting with people, using technology back to being with people. So like, it won't just be something we're learning about, we're integrating that, using it into the learning process. Does that make sense?
Yes. It really plays into that experiential and lifelong learning system that we're looking at.
Yeah.
One final question is just kind of about sustainability with AI, because AI definitely takes a toll on the environment, and we know that. So how could a university kind of limit their technological carbon footprint when they're with this integration?
That's a good question. And honestly, I'm not as knowledgeable about kind of like the hardware demands and the energy demands. I know it's a tremendous amount of energy.
Yes.
Right. So to me, it's just over time is paring down use. And it's not only in the sense of environmental support, but also our own productivity. Like, why are we building things and relying on things when we don't need it?
Right.
Not just because it's environmentally healthy, but because it could actually be taking away from productivity at the same time. Okay, just all this technology that's unnecessary, right? So I know that the energy demands are going to be great, and that's going to have to be dealt with globally.
Interesting perspective on that is, kind of limiting our use because it might not be adding to our productivity. It's an interesting perspective on that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We've really learned a lot from this conversation. We're grateful to have you as part of this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.